Ya pemirsa, dialog di segmen khusus Money Talks kami akan lanjutkan kembali masih bersama kami Profesor Paul Romer, peraih Nobel di bidang ekonomi di tahun 2018. Paul, let's continue our discussion. Okay, so talking about the AI.
Yeah.
We know that currently industries and new, more qualified talent and technologies such as AI are spreading massively in every industry. What actually the government in the developing countries like Indonesia should do to support human capital and technological advancement in order to reach the aggressive GDP growth target?
Yeah. So my suggestion would be, of course, keep trying to improve your school system, keep trying to improve your universities, but I would also invest in what's known as open source software. Pay subsidies to encourage faculty members and students to contribute to pieces of software which are open for the whole world to see and use. Because I don't think it's a good system to have private firms control and very important pieces of technology and ideas. I think this is like the Pythagorean theorem. It should be open for everybody to use some new tool from AI. So I think we should shift away from proprietary control, market incentives, and have more public source, just like open source, like public science.
In light of global advancement in AI and technology, how can Indonesia balance technological innovations with the preservation of jobs, and what role do you see for education and retraining programs in this balance to make it works?
Well, I think what's impressive about open source software is that somebody can learn and they can prove what they've learned, what they're good at, by showing, here's the work I've done. It's all out in the open. So it's a chance for somebody, maybe they're in school, but maybe they've left school, to learn new skills, produce new things, and get credit for it, and then potentially get a new job using those skills. So I think open source is a very good way for people or a nation to build skills in this area of technology. And it's a way to develop, to protect yourselves from predators who will take advantage of their control of the technology to make money off of your citizens.
Okay, so what does Indonesia need, or Indonesia's government should do to make sure that the GDP growth could be inclusive to every class in the society and create the effective social impact?
Well, I mean, the way to think about like AI is like AI might be like a better spell checker. Okay, we might be able to, like write our documents and get grammar checking along with the spell checking. So that would be okay. I don't think it's going to be as big as most people think it's going to be. But you need people who can take it and use it. And the way to build up those skills about how to use it is to have people who are working with it, who are adapting it, who are playing with it. Yeah, and you don't want to like have somebody come in from outside and then sell you some expensive service, because they're going to just take advantage of you. So I think Indonesia needs to build up its expertise in this area, use it for the things that it's good for, but don't expect it. It's not magic. Don't expect it to change everything. A couple of years ago, everybody was, cyber currencies, it's going to change the whole world. And now that's, in a couple of years, we're going to say, AI, it was supposed to change the whole world. It's not going to do it. And then we'll be on to some new fad. So,
okay, so how do you see the growth in AI for now?
Well, what we're seeing is a lot of investment, and I'm afraid that some of that investment is because firms think they're going to get a proprietary monopoly position. When there's a race, who's going to be the dominant player in this new market? There's a lot of purchasing of chips from NVIDIA as part of this race. But at the end, I think they're going to discover that the service they're selling isn't worth what it's costing to produce it. And I'm hoping that open source is going to liberate it. They're not going to make monopoly profits, because everybody's going to figure out how to do it on its own. There is one other thing which is worth watching out for. They've made some significant progress because they could keep feeding more and more data into bigger and bigger models. And they could do that for a while, but they're basically running out of data. You know, in terms of all of the text and all of the books in the world and everything that's available on the internet, they're going to work through that pretty soon. And we're not going to keep seeing improvements in these models because we were feeding more data into them. And then it's going to sink into everybody that when they're projecting these rapid rates of progress far out into the future, it's suddenly going to sink in that we're not going to keep making progress at that rate.
Okay, so we know that Indonesia has made significant strides in digital transformation, especially during the pandemic. How can the country leverage this momentum to enhance productivity and competitiveness in the global market?
I think ultimately the best thing you can do is develop the skills of your people. They'll be able to capture good incomes, good jobs, start new companies if they've got the skills to take advantage of these new technologies. But I think it's also important to remember that the developers and the coders, they're only going to be a small part of your population. And there are a lot of people still who have to move from rural areas, a lot of people who still have to get their first formal sector
Looking
job.
for the opportunity.
And those people, successful urbanization is going to be more important to their economic lives than successful technology policy.
So in the context of post-pandemic recovery, how do you view the role of fiscal policy alongside monetary policy in ensuring sustained economic growth, particularly for developing countries?
Well, the first thing that we should all recognize is that the recent behavior has been, especially in the United States, has been surprising. Most economists did not think we'd bring inflation down without having an increase in unemployment. So we need to acknowledge there's some things that we didn't predict, and so there's some things we don't understand. Now, one conjecture is that this happy coincidence was the combination of stimulative fiscal policy, like the IRA passed by President Biden, the investments in infrastructure, combined with relatively tight monetary policy. And as I said, recently too tight, but they're at least too slow to loosen. But so that combination of kind of stimulative fiscal policy and tight monetary policy, or policy that's ready to tighten whenever we see signs that inflation's going up, that might be a pretty good pattern going forward.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much for your time. It's a very interesting discussion for today.
Okay.
Have a good day for you.
All right. Thank you.
Ya pemirsa, demikianlah tadi dialog eksklusif kami dalam segmen Money Talk bersama dengan Profesor Paul Romer, peraih Nobel di bidang ekonomi tahun 2018. Saya Shinta Zahara, CNBC Indonesia, Beyond Business.